Much with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So everyone's got their ideas of what the projected backfield of a lot of SEC teams are going to be. The four-letter network has ranked the best backfield duos and trios in the SEC, which I think is an interesting idea. And as a person who reads a lot of sports websites every day, I don't know that I've seen one this interesting from anybody, because like everybody's like ranking things that don't need to be ranked. Not that they don't need to be ranked, but is it really interesting to rank all of these things? People are ranking the best wide receiving cores from next year, and it's like, well, okay, but football is a team sport, and it doesn't matter if you have a great wide receiving core. If your quarterback is trash, like, you're not going to go anywhere. I'm sorry. Ranking the best wide receiving core is not an interesting thing to me, because it doesn't help the other aspects of your game. And I think ranking the backfields is fascinating because they are two interconnected parts of the game, right? Like what the quarterback does and what the running backs do are two interconnected parts of the game that are, at least to me, a large part of your success. So ranking quarterbacks I find interesting. Ranking backfields I find interesting. I think if you rank an offense as a whole unit, that's interesting. Ranking tight ends doesn't interest me at all, right? If you rank defensive lines, that's interesting. You rank corner tandems, that doesn't do anything for me, right? Like, because it doesn't have a singularly strong enough impact on the game. But I also understand it's the offseason, and if you don't just rank stuff, what on earth do you write about? So I get it. I'm not trying to be too critical of it, but I thought that this list was interesting, and I thought the list was also fairly accurate as well, right? This was done by Edward Aschoff of the worldwide leader, and his rankings of SEC backfields goes as followed. Alabama's number one with Jalen Hurts and Damian Harris and Bo Scarborough as the trio, which last year, that's 2,800 rushing yards between all three guys, which is insane. And as he points out, more than 11 SEC teams had the entirety of last season. So the fact that they combined for 26 rushing touchdowns and then another 2,700 yards passing, I mean, that is a lethal group. I think if Jalen Hurts could become a better passer, and in terms of down the field threats, because there was times last year where there were guys open down the field and Jalen simply either did not have the confidence to throw down there or did not see it, which to me, that's the scarier option. If you lack confidence, then as you get older and you get bigger and you get stronger, you gain confidence in college. You see it happen all the time. If you simply did not see it, that tends to not get better over time. And so I hope that it was the confidence issue and not the blindness issue, where the guy's not going through his progressions. It's, oh, I don't see anybody open. It's time for me to use my legs and take off here, which I think is also dangerous and going to get Jalen Hurts in a lot of trouble, because Nick Saban already treats Jalen Hurts like a third running back, like a running back you didn't see coming. Because I watched that LSU game last year with Alabama, and Jalen Hurts rushed for 20 carries, like 21 carries in the game. And I understand some of that was him scrambling, but some of those were designed runs where Nick Saban was like, yeah, nah, he's just another workhorse. We can run with this guy. That's fine too. And look, he's a dangerous runner. He's fast. And I believe it was him escaping from LSU's defense that put the dagger in the game. So I get it. It's just at some point, this guy's going to have to be confident to torch teams upfield. And I understand that Alabama's offense is going to become more conservative, because that's what happens when you lose Lane Kiffin and then Steve Sarkisian. But at the same time, you're still going to have some of those throws to make, and he's going to have to make them. I think they can actually become more dangerous, but I do agree that they are the most dangerous backfield in the SEC. Number two goes to Jacob Eason, Nick Chubb, and Sony Michel, which, last 3 years, Chubb and Michel, that's 5,835 rushing yards over the last 3 seasons with 12 touchdowns. Jacob Eason threw for 2,430 yards and 16 touchdowns as a freshman. And, we're just talking about confidence with Jalen Hurts, but I do think that Jacob Eason could also stand a boost in confidence because the tools are there. The tools are there. I've never been so convinced that a guy is going to be brilliant. Quite like I am convinced that Jacob Eason is going to be absolutely brilliant. The tools are all there. The size is there. He stands tall in the pocket, which I like. He's got a howitzer for an arm. He is somebody that can be really, really special in Georgia's offense this year. And then the reason why I think Georgia does ultimately win the East, and I know that adding Malik Zaire to Florida changes a lot of things, and you bet against Jim McElwain for 2 years. Do you ever learn your lesson? But Jacob Eason is such a special talent, and he did not progress, I think, as much as I would have liked him to, but I think that he makes the leap this year. I honestly do. At some point this season, I think he turns the corner and becomes a very special SEC quarterback, and he's going to give us a lot of SEC quarterbacking memories, I think, as well. I'm looking forward to it because we already have a few with him, right? Like we have the Missouri, the walk-off touchdown pass. And by the way, he almost had another memory against Tennessee were it not for the fact that he were one-upped by Joshua Dobbs finding Josh Malone in the end zone. Like were he not one-upped by Dobbs, he's probably got a couple of really big SEC memories as a freshman. And then, the accomplishments of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, that those two guys have been lethal for a long time. And actually, I was looking for Sony Michel to have an even bigger year last year than he wound up having. And I think that he is more of the guy in that backfield now than he was previously. I like the direction that Georgia's headed in, and I do think that they have the second most dangerous backfield. And this one is great because, again, the most grateful, happiest person in the SEC must be Gus Malzahn, because Jarrett Stidham, Cameron Petway, and Kerryon Johnson give them something truly lethal. And the only reason why that becomes lethal now is because they have Jarrett Stidham. And Jarrett Stidham has the one thing that Gus Malzahn has wanted since Cam Newton, and that is a guy who can run and throw. He can do both. Gone are the days where we are starting a quarterback who runs and can't throw and switching between that and a quarterback who throws and can't run. You have both talents in one body. Can you believe that? Like Gus Malzahn must have been out of his mind when Jarrett Stidham transferred over to Auburn. Like, I don't know if there was a happier person on this earth, and I don't know if there's ever been a happier person on this earth. And we live on a planet where people win the lottery. We live on a planet where people have had their dreams come true on national television, winning variety of game shows that we've all seen. Like, we live on that planet, and I still don't know if anybody's ever been happier than Gus Malzahn at Auburn right now. Like Jarrett Stidham's going to show up and save his job is what we're looking at. Jarrett Stidham's going to show up and save his job. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Just going over this ESPN story of the best backfield duos and trios in 2017. And I honestly, I agree with the list. I was like, oh, I don't think I could have made a better list. Number 4 is Drew Lock, Demaria Crockett, and Ish Witter. And it's a backfield that's great. I like Drew Lock. I don't think I'm as high on Drew Lock as a lot of people are, but certainly he is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. And certainly, for me, I think Eason's going to be the best quarterback in the East. Malik Zaire shows up, and I think he's immediately second best. I think Drew Lock is immediately third. Right? Like Drew Lock is third to me, but he has the potential to be the best. I just think that offense, especially that offensive line, is devoid of talent in way too many places. And so I don't know how effective he will be necessarily, but he'll be good. I don't see this as a particularly dangerous trio because, again, I don't like their offensive line in terms of getting penetration upfield and allowing these guys to really do damage. And I think on another team, the combination of Locke, Crockett, and Witter would be more deadly. But 3,399 passing yards on Drew Lock, 23 touchdowns last year. Don't sleep on Drew Lock. Austin Allen and Devwa Whaley. Austin Allen, who is the truth. And I don't think that we really need a lot of introduction for Austin Allen. I talk about him so much on the show because I think he is great. I think he is the best quarterback in the SEC. I think he is the best quarterback in the entire conference. And when he makes it to the NFL, he's also going to be fantastic there. That is my gigantic mail it prediction is Austin Allen is glorious. But obviously, if this were a true trio, then they'd have to be higher than Missouri on this list. In fact, you could also argue them higher than Auburn on this list, but Raleigh Williams had to retire, unfortunately, and he was outstanding and amazing, and I feel very bad for him. But he would have made them a much better trio, and you could argue them and into the top three. But with just Austin Allen and Devwa Whaley, they're still good enough to be in the top five. Austin Allen alone gives you enough firepower to be in the top five. And Devwa Whaley has been beyond impressive. It's not like this backfield is suddenly slouch-ridden. Over 3,400 yards of passing from Allen and 25 touchdowns. And Whaley, who looks like yet another 1,000-yard back for Brett Bielema and the Arkansas Razorbacks. I just don't see how you slow them down necessarily. But I don't know if that converts necessarily into victories either. And I think that this is my main problem with Arkansas and Missouri on this list is I know that both of those backfields can be insanely productive. Why isn't this translating into more victories? I think it's obvious for Missouri. They're bad at defense and their offensive line is rubbish, but I don't get why Arkansas cannot translate this ability that Brett Bielema has for finding 1,000-yard rushers. 1,000-yard rushers. I don't know how he cannot translate this ability for having 1,000-yard rushers and having the best quarterback in the SEC and not flipping that into any consistent victories. We are talking about Auburn possibly winning the West and LSU with Danny Etling at quarterback possibly winning the West. And we don't even bring up Arkansas, and we know Devwa Whaley is going to be good, and Austin Allen is the truth. Where are the wins for Arkansas? And I think that I'd love to just randomly move them up higher on this list, in large part because I just like Austin Allen that much. I think he is that great. But I can't. It hasn't translated into victories, which makes no sense. It makes no sense. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. And then they had some honorable mentions. Jordan Scarlett and Lamical Perrine at Florida. They have Darius Geis and Darrell Williams at LSU. They got Nick Fitzgerald and Ayers Williams at Miss State. South Carolina, Jacob Bentley and Rico Dowdle. And Texas A&M's got Travion Williams and Keith Ford. So like there are some interesting backfields there as well. Not mentioned is Tennessee, which I find a little bit fascinating. But then again, we just don't know what to expect from Tennessee. Likely going to start Quentin Dormady. Likely going to start John Kelly. We like John Kelly. We think John Kelly is going to be very good, but do we know that John Kelly is going to be very good? We don't know that. But we hope so. We strongly hope so, and he does look the part. I mean, that's true. I mean, when you see a guy like Alabama running backs have a very strong tendency of looking the part. It helps that they're also good, but they also they look the part. John Kelly, and I don't know what else to say about the guy, and I really haven't seen very much from him. John Kelly looks the part of a dominant running back. And Quentin Dormady, I liked him in the spring game. I thought that he was very poised. And while I like Jarrett Garantano is clearly the less polished passer, and he's not nearly as accurate as Dormady is. So I like Dormady a little bit more there, but again, we're doing a whole lot of projecting with Tennessee, so we don't know what to expect from their backfield, and so it's very hard to rank them. I think, unless you're very high on either Dormady or Kelly, I think it would be incredibly difficult to rank them even as an honorable mention in the SEC. We're going to jump to the NFL a little bit here because there was a story yesterday that came out. I believe it was Booger McFarland talking about Cam Newton, that there were reports from the Carolina locker room. Cam Newton's not a great teammate. He's not a great leader, and people don't like him. Which, for me, did that surprise you? Because it didn't surprise me. What? People don't like Cam? No way. The Cam Newton, to me, strikes me as a guy that would be powerfully annoying to work with if the situation weren't good, right? Like, I've worked at companies where everything's going great. I've worked at companies where everything is going poorly. And there are some people that when things are going poorly, you wish you or they worked somewhere else. Like, you cannot work with them under duress. When things are going great, it's fine. They're fine. You're all cool. But when things are going poorly, like, you just do not want to work with them. Cam is definitely that guy, right? Like, Cam definitely comes across as the guy you don't want to work with if things are going poorly, because he would be annoyed. He would take out his annoyances on everyone around him. And Cam doesn't, it's not shocking that Cam is a guy that is not well liked on a team that is losing football games. I'll throw out another name of somebody who I think is great, just fantastic, that you wouldn't like if things were going poorly. Aaron Rodgers. Like, the same things that they're saying about Cam have been said about Aaron Rodgers. The difference is we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers have a season where nothing's going right. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers really suffer and struggle like that. Now, I think part of that, too, is that Aaron Rodgers is such a much better and a much higher value quarterback than Cam, that Aaron Rodgers can do so many things with regards to putting a team on his back and dragging a team, whether or not that team is any good. And last year's Packers team was not any good. And it stands to reason, by the way, that this year's Packer team is not much better. But putting the team on his back and carrying them, yeah, you'll live with Aaron Rodgers. Okay? And his bad attitude and the fact that he is very terse with teammates and is kind of cocky, you'll live with all of that stuff, because on an Aaron Rodgers team, you're never going to have a team that's so bad you feel like everything's going wrong. Because of the limitations that Cam has as an accurate passer, that I don't think Cam is ever going to be an accurate passer of the football. It's not in his DNA. He hasn't worked on that as his game. He's not going to be a 65, 67% passer of the football. And so if Cam can't run, if the offensive line wears down, if the running game breaks apart, if his weapons don't come through for him, things are going to go wrong for Carolina, and they're going to go wrong in a hurry, in a heartbeat. And when things go wrong, he ain't the guy to play with, right? Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't either, but Aaron Rodgers is going to always be that 65, 66% passer. And so he's going to be able to overcome things that Cam cannot overcome on the field, which will make him a much bearable person to be with off the field. We didn't have problems with Jay Cutler and Jay Cutler's frowning and constant moping until the Bears started to lose. Once they started to lose, it became very much easier to just go, yeah, no, we don't like Jay Cutler. Like, Jay Cutler wasn't the worst quarterback in the league, but we demonized him in large part because he has one of those faces and the Bears were losing. There are just people you can't work with when things don't go well. That's just life. That there are people that you cannot be around when things don't go well because they don't handle things well. Or maybe you don't. You know, if you don't know that person, maybe it's you. But regardless, there are just people that you can't, the chemistry's not going to be there. You don't judge people by how they are when things are going great. Like, I can't judge Cam as a teammate by how things are going when he's 15-1 and headed to the Super Bowl. But I can judge Cam by how things are going when things are pretty terrible. And when things are pretty terrible, overwhelmingly, the reports are Cam's not a great teammate. And I like Cam Newton. And when Cam Newton is on TV, and my team's not playing, I watch him because I think that he's fun, even though I hate that blonde thing that he's doing with his chin beard. But is it possible that Cam's not a great teammate? Oh, shocker of shockers. Of course it is. That's been him since he's entered the league. Watch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza and Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets. Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484. Are you looking for a gospel-oriented, covenantal, family-friendly Reformed church? Dayton Reformed Presbyterian Church is a body of Christ-centered believers gathering for worship on the Lord's Day from around southeastern Tennessee. Our congregation is reformational in its outlook. It has a traditional worship service regulated by the Word of God. Prayer, singing the Psalms, reading God's holy Word, teaching, preaching the Bible, the administration of the sacrament. Dayton Reformed Pres, committed to the authority of the Bible as the inerrant, infallible Word of God. As Westminster Confession of Faith directs every Christian, we aim to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. As a Reformed church, our purpose is teaching and preaching the gospel, making and training disciples of Jesus Christ, taking dominion for our Lord's sake by applying God's holy and perfect law to every area of life. We would be honored to have you join us for worship. Dayton Reformed Presbyterian. This Sunday morning at 11 at Dayton Community Chapel, 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton. Click DaytonRPC.org. Click DaytonRPC.org. 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out. and Brad Keselowski has won Stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall that will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again, and again it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble! Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chucks him off, coming off turn number 2, nose to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDT Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
Russia's president backing the hacking of the U.S. election.
This was an attack on the country just as surely as dropping a bomb would be an attack on the country.
Another Republican senator looks at the health care bill and decides,
in this form, I will not support it.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. At the end of his presidency, Barack Obama spoke to Russia's Vladimir Putin about interfering with the U.S. election process. More sanctions were added. 35 Russian diplomats were told to leave this country. Now, says CBS's Bill Rakoff,
CBS News has learned that when U.S. officials entered 2 Russian compounds they seized in Maryland and New York last December, they found a cache of damaged equipment used for electronic surveillance that might have been useful in the ongoing Russia probe. Among the damaged and missing materials, computers, and other gear, some current officials wondering if the Russians had been tipped off about the 24-hour evacuation notice and had time to destroy that gear.
Now to the White House for more from correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
In the wake of a Washington Post report shedding light on U.S. intelligence of the Russian election interference, Press Secretary Sean Spicer was asked if President Trump finds the meddling concerning.
Of course, he's concerned about any country or any actor that wants to interfere in an election.
Spicer wouldn't confirm reports Mr. Trump will meet with Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Germany in 2 weeks.
As University of Virginia political scholar Larry Sabato Skypes, Donald Trump was getting a push from the Kremlin.
Now it is better established than ever before that the Russians, from Vladimir Putin on down, were doing everything they could to elect him president.
Turning to health care replacement, Nevada's Dean Heller becomes the 5th Republican senator to oppose the measure. Here's why.
It doesn't protect Nevadans on Medicaid and the most vulnerable Nevadans. The elderly, Nevadans struggling with mental health issues, substance abuse, and people with disabilities.
To ensure passage, the GOP could only have 2 defections in the Senate. President Trump sized up the issue.
I think we're going to get there.
And he told Fox News he's aware that some in the Senate are not satisfied.
They'd like to get certain changes, and we'll see if we can take care of that.
Overseas, after the loss of 79 lives in London following that high-rise apartment inferno, investigators say the building's exterior cladding was made of material that allowed the flames to spread very quickly. Now, 800 homes in the Camden neighborhood of London, homes with similar materials, are being evacuated.
Why have they left it till 8:30 at night to start getting residents out? Where do they think we're all going?
But Camden Council leader Georgia Gould says,
we've moved incredibly quickly to move people into hotel accommodation or where they can to stay with family and friends.
On Wall Street, the Dow closed down 2 points at 21,394. The NASDAQ rose 28. The S&P gained 3. Now this.
With Quicken Loans, the outdated and complicated mortgage process is a thing of the past. Our simple process helps you understand all the details so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage. Take your mortgage to the next level and call 800-QUICKEN or go completely online with Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. No matter how you prefer to work with us, we've got what you need to get you through the mortgage process with ease. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. information, and for the third year in a row, they also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Whether you're looking to purchase or refinance, now is the time. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.23%. Call 800-QUICKEN or get started online at rocketmortgage.com. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Signed by the president today, the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act.
It gives the secretary the authority to remove federal employees who fail and endanger our veterans, and to do so quickly and effectively.
I'm Jim Taylor. Protecting whistleblowers applauded by the veterans of foreign wars. VFW National Spokesman Joe Davis says it sends an important message.
Loud and clear signal to every single employee, regardless of whether they're rank and file or senior executive service, that the VA's purpose is to serve veterans, not themselves.
2 members of the Air Force Thunderbirds are in the hospital. Their F-16 was practicing for this weekend's air show in Dayton, Ohio. When landing, the jet flipped and wound up in a grassy area with the tail stuck in the ground. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Hurd commands the Thunderbirds.
The pilot was a very experienced fighter pilot. He has approximately 1,600 hours, is what I'd say.
That air show in Dayton will go on tomorrow. You're listening.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A car chase led Tennessee and Georgia cops all the way down the county lines from Marion County down to Dade County. It all started at 10 p.m. on Thursday when a car was spotted that was believed to belong to a man accused of kidnapping, Mr. Jimmy Morton. A chase began, and Mr. Morton is accused of calling 911 and telling the dispatcher he was armed and would kill the cops if they got to him, while they surrounded his vehicle and took him into custody without incident. He now faces charges in Marion County and Dade County. Amanda Davis, an inmate in the Ray County Jail, was found dead in her jail cell, and the TBI has been called in to investigate. Miss Davis was arrested on the 17th and had her first court date on the 20th. A TBI was specifically called in by DA General Mike Taylor. The Hammond Jones hardware store in Lafayette went up in smoke overnight on Tuesday in an apparent arson, and now the Georgia Insurance and Fire Safety Commissioner Ralph Hudgens is offering a $10,000 reward for anyone with any info. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Scattered showers will move off to the east through your nighttime. Still quite muggy out there. Lows by morning near 70. For the weekend, look for improving weather with a shower or two possible early Saturday. Otherwise, drier late highs into the lower to middle 80s. More sunshine back into the lower 80s Sunday. Celebrate Independence Day with Big Shots Fireworks in Calhoun, Georgia. Exit 312 off I-75, 3 miles west toward Rome on Highway 53. Open daily, Big Shots Fireworks in Calhoun and now in Adairsville as well. And I'm S'mores Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose here on Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com. Yesterday was the NBA draft. There is much basketball to talk about. I did not really get into it in the first hour of the show, in large part because there was a lot of college football stories out there to talk about, and also because I really, really wanted to get into the weeds here. Joining me on the phones, the Nooga Radio hotline, is my brother, who is a writer and a basketball aficionado of some kind. And boy, there are things in the draft, man, that we got to talk about. How you feeling, Kerwin?
It is. I want my adjectives worked out. You're so close to like saying an entire nice sentence about me, and then immediately right at the end decide, well, let's not give him the whole credit that he deserves. Whatever, Keon. Go ahead. Let's talk about this draft.
We will talk about the draft. Like Look, man. I am your older brother in my heart. I just compliments. I can't do it. So
okay.
Speaking of compliments, there are no compliments that I have for the Minnesota for the Chicago Bulls. None. Because that is the biggest trade of the draft, and we can talk about where everybody else went. But oh my goodness, the Bulls gave away Jimmy Butler for Lauri Markkanen, who we bashed yesterday. What are they doing?
Look, they got more than that. Let's walk through the trade. The T-Wolves send Zach LaVine off of a traumatic leg injury. They send Chris Dunn, who had a horrifying season last year, and they send the 7th pick, who turns into Lauri Markkanen, which is Lauri Markkanen being a lot like Kristaps Porzingis, but doesn't defend or rebound or really have any kind of toughness. And when you read the Draft Express report, it reads like he's a shooting guard, and then they get to the bottom and they're like, oh, by the way, he's 7'1", but he thinks he's a shooting guard. He is not ideal in any way. And this is the 7th player that goes to the draft. It's just poor decision-making on their part. And then they send back Jimmy Butler, top 15 player, and their 16th pick, which to me is the mind-boggling part. You couldn't have kept your pick.
Right. Like, you were already giving everything away. Like, Jimmy Butler is everything, by the way. He's already given him away. You gave away the pick also? I mean, wow.
It just smacks of stupidity in a way. I just can't even. I can't fully express, unless Lauri Markkanen turns into like a real thing. There's no way this trade is salvageable.
Something you like. Lauri Markkanen needs to turn into a real thing, and Chris Dunn we would settle for Chris Dunn at this point simply not being a dumpster fire. Like, he doesn't even have to turn out to be good. Just simply not being awful is what we would settle for Dunn. And then, like, if Zach LaVine can come back from that injury and give you any utility at all, except I feel like Zach LaVine is the big numbers, bad team guy.
Well, it's that. Plus, his entire game is based off of his athleticism and nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, the thing that we love about Zach LaVine, he's got a little shake, he's got a little bake, and he's got a whole lot of lift. And now one of his tires are blown out. And you're telling me you're trading for that guy? I don't understand. I think either Jimmy Butler it's just a toxic situation in Chicago, and they had to take something. I don't understand. But to be fair, it's kind of hard to judge the value of a star until they're on the trade market. And I think what people are finding is that stars don't pull big hauls anymore. Not if they're in bad situations, which is the only reason you would move a star. So DeMarcus Cousins got basically nothing for the Kings. You know, Paul George allegedly is like 2 late first rounders and a Lakers prospect is all he pulled. Like, it's that kind of stuff.
And that's what makes this even crazier, right? Is that I have read the reports that Jimmy Butler wanted to be in Chicago. Like, he liked playing there. He wants to be in that city. It means a lot to him that he's a Jordan guy playing in the house that Michael Jordan built. Like, all those other situations, you move the guy because the guy doesn't want to be there. Jimmy wants to be there. And this is like the only situation I've ever seen where the player and the coach butt heads and we move the player.
It's fascinating in a certain extent because you're seeing all of these like old school places trying to figure out how to do business in the new wave of, like, you know, we count everybody's shot, like in the new kind of basketball where numbers mean a great deal and we're trying to pair personalities and they're doing psychology tests and all this kind of stuff. And so what you have is like Chicago, LA, New York, these big basketball locations have no concept of how to be like modern. So we got Silicon Valley, the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio, a little biomedical field blossoming thing, these like smaller places just kicking their butts up and down the way because they've like modernized, and these slow giants are slowly turning into the 21st century.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, the giant albatross teams have been the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Bulls. Right.
And you would think Boston would be the same way, but Danny Ainge dragged that team. It's a rare case where they hired like just a dude who was razor smart, saw the change coming, and then just broke with it. And that's what those teams hope to do. But instead, they kept their old ownership highly in charge and involved. Or in the Bulls case, I don't even know. Like the kind of stuff that gets leaked out of Chicago just makes me think that's just never been anything but toxic. And the only reason they ever got a championship is because they happened to draft the greatest basketball player to ever live.
I completely agree, by the way. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM here on Nooga Radio. And yeah, the Reinsdorfs haven't been anything but incompetent since Jordan walked out of those doors. So I 100% agree. I'm not going to let Danny Ainge 100% off the hook, though. He did draft Jason Tatum, which I like. But the idea that Danny Ainge couldn't have gotten Jimmy Butler when you realize what it was that Minnesota gave up for him is kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. I have a couple theories that are floating out there. They were engaged with the Paul George talks, and they were trying to like dump all their assets there. And so like they got everybody on the phone doing the Paul George thing. Chicago rings up. I mean, not Chicago. I don't know who rang up who. I'm assuming the T-Wolves pitched this awful trade to the Bulls. But if it was the other way around, then they
I don't know what to tell
have
you.
time to turn and like put together an offer, and the pick was coming up for what I have no concept, because I would have gladly done Jason Tatum and I don't know, pick one of the Boston guys that they don't want to pay, Bradley, Crowder, pick one of them, and you can have both of those things, which is better than what you got.
Oh, so here's an interesting thing that happened. Malik Monk, who was one of them Kentucky boys, because Sacramento is insane, fell into the laps of Michael Jordan and the Charlotte Hornets. How does this happen?
I don't know, but you know they were all set to ready to take that tall white kid who could shoot but can't do anything else. You know Michael Jordan.
Why does he like that? Why is that his
kid
thing?
Who could shoot and flame it from the outside, but literally had no other skills. And then in swooped the Sacramento Kings, full of incompetence, and they were like, "Here, we'll trade down, for the 15th and 20th pick, and somehow the best thing we end up in this draft is De'Aaron Fox, and then Harry Giles is our pairing piece. Harry Giles, who scored 4 points in college and has no legs." Oh my goodness, Keon, it was like just weird to watch a draft be very normal and a lot of people make good, sound decisions, and then just watch three teams just do the worst possible job they could.
It looked like a race to the bottom, for sure. Because it was them. Like the Knicks are absolutely insane because they got Frank from France. I already started on the path of butchering the young man's name. So
I think it's Nefenlin. Listen, it's like an N and then like 9 consonants, and it sounds like no French words you've ever heard. But yeah, Frank from France works.
Yeah, they got Frank from France, who is a point guard who is 6'5", which seems cool up until you realize that Frank is not really a point guard. The
report on him is that he's composed and he could shoot it a little bit, and that he seems, ready to step into the point guard position. Hasn't really played a ton of it. He's not a pure point guard. He's ready to step into the position. He sounds like a triangle guy, which is what they wanted. And then what you get to do is you get to heap onto the fact that he can't really jump and he's not an elite defender at this level. And and then you start to read the rest of the scout report and you're like, oh, the Knicks only got halfway through because Phil Jackson fell asleep or something.
I think they got all the way through, and the only thing that Phil Jackson was thinking was triangle, 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 triangle
checklist. He's a moderate-sized wing, can shoot and dribble a little bit. He's in the triangle. Count it up.
Like he
can move without the ball.
Like this ancient NBA offense, and here is Phil Jackson attempting to build an entire team around an offense that nobody uses anymore. It's insane.
Like we use elements of the triangle, but the thing is that the motion offense is like just this amped up version that doesn't restrict itself to like the top of the key, the other side of the top of the key, and the paint. It literally does not need a triangle. It's just like, oh, what if the ball moved and there was not one main dominant person controlling the ball, and through ball movement and screens we create offense? Well, that's a great sounding thing. What if we didn't do it only in a 10-foot portion of the floor? That's even better.
Right, but no, Phil Jackson loves the 10-foot portion. It's the only portion of the floor that he apparently knows. And like when I because people use elements of the triangle, but when Phil was last coaching in the league, they did play the triangle, but like that Kobe Lakers championship team with Pau Gasol in them, that was a pick and roll basketball team. Okay, I don't get it.
And the thing is that it yielded good shots because there weren't any teams blitzing them. Like when you saw what the Spurs did against, that Miami team, or what the Mavericks did against that, to be honest, I'd say Miami team. That's when you saw like, oh, we're changing it over. And then Miami team stole motion offense concept. And it was the Spurs who ran it first. And it was, Steve Kerr was a Spur guy and he jumped over to Golden State. And they just sort of turned the league into this thing. And they just immediately made that a fossil. They turned that into something you just cannot run and get anywhere near the amount of point production you expect to win any basketball game. And if you do run it and you do not have just the best player in the league, the leverage doesn't happen anymore because these teams just sort of like allow you to take mid-range jumpers. They're like, okay, you take this 2, you might make it. It's very similar to the chance that we will hit if we take a 3 on the 4 down on the next possession. We don't care. Go ahead. Drain all those mid-range jumpers. We challenge you to it. And they just, it's hard to watch the Knicks, Keon. It's in all sense of the word. Just as many ways as you could take that statement, it's hard to watch the Knicks.
I do find it humorous to watch the Knicks. And as a result, by the way, we are getting some prime Stephen A. Smith angst, which is always
Stephen A. Smith is in the rarest of form. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He's like internally falling apart. Somehow the caricature that he's putting on and the actual human being that's inside of him that he rarely shows to the world are just at war with themselves. And when he opens his mouth, it's like pain just personified in voice and just hits you. And it's beautiful. It's great radio. I will say that.
Oh, it's glorious radio. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. On the phone with me is my brother, Kerwin Rose, who is a basketball aficionado. He's not a basketball. And he's a writer. Lonzo Ball is a Laker. Now that it's official, how do you feel?
I'm excited. I'm excited in the sense that I think he's going to be good. Does that make sense? And he's not unathletic, so he's got a little bit of athleticism. He's not going to blow you away, but he's pretty good. He's tall and he's lanky. He sees the floor on another level, and for a 19-year-old kid, it's like obviously special. And he can shoot. It's ugly, but he can shoot. And I don't know. I'm fine with it. I know people are worried about his dad. I don't know what to tell you. At some point, he's going to figure it out, or he's not, and we just have to put up with LeVar Ball. But if he's bad, then everybody gets their wish. LeVar Ball goes away. I personally don't want that. I think LeVar Ball is hilarious. But,
I strongly dislike LeVar Ball. I think he is funny.
You're an old man. What is this?
Listen to me. I think he's funny. He look, and also he loves his son. That I think is the most important thing here. Like, that's not a crime to love your son. I just think that like the sort of casual racism that he gets to spout out there, but he's LeVar, so we know he's crazy, so we let him get away with it. And then the casual sexism that just kind of flies out there, but we know he's crazy, so we just gotta let him get away with it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that stuff, but I don't think it's going to affect the Lakers at all. Like, I don't think the day-to-day operations are going to have anything to do with LeVar. And I don't really care whether or not he goes away. Like, that to me, that's not I think he will eventually go away. I think we've seen crazy dads in sports before. Serena and Venus's dad was crazy, but eventually they overshadowed him. Tiger's dad was kind of crazy, and eventually Tiger overshadowed him with his golf, and then eventually his own craziness. So, like, you know, he's gonna go away eventually if Lonzo's any good.
I want to say bless you for comparing Lonzo Ball to the height and greatness of both Serena and Venus Williams and Tiger Woods. If he's that dominant in basketball as they were in their own sports, then the Lakers really could skip the whole LeBron James thing. We don't even have to go down that road where he's like holding us hostage, just like he's holding Cleveland hostage. Which is like the thing I'm just not looking forward to, is for like LeBron James to come and only sign a 1-year deal. Hey, that's kind of weird. Would you want to finish your career here? Maybe. Oh, great, LeBron. Thanks for this. Thanks for this year-to-year anxiety. The ulcers in my stomach. Thank you. I don't know. Here's my thing with LeVar Ball. He's no worse than any of the sort of these new like live and in-person trolls. Like we always said, trolls have no courage because they sit behind the keyboard, blah, blah, blah. But then you get the Milo Yiannopoulos of the world. You get the LeVar Balls. You get, to a certain extent, Stephen A. Smith, but not really. You get, what's that dude from Colin Cowherd short? Nick Wright, the perpetually wrong Nick Wright. You get people like him.
Oh, by the way, we haven't seen Nick Wright since the finals.
And that's just kind of what's in vogue right now.
I hear you. By the way, because there's going to be a shameless plug for Colin's show, by the way, because it is on the station. You can listen to it at noon, from noon to 3, every day here on Nooga Radio. But also, Nick Wright, we haven't seen or heard from Nick Wright since. Like, he hasn't been out from hiding since the finals.
The dude came out and was like 1,000% in the wrong. Like, I've never heard someone just like look at the situation and then decide the Warriors can't do this. Like, I get that, like, oh, he gave them the words no shot came out of his mouth. They kept citing the Warriors' lack of depth, to which I would say, do you know you can, like, take some of your starters and rest them at some point, and then some of your starters stay on the floor? It's called staggering minutes. It's not a revolutionary concept. People have done it before. Anyway, but go have time to yell into the microphone. Colin was a little guilty of this. Nick Wright was a lot guilty of this. Colin is kind of a genius at his radio craft. Nick Wright is just a dumb butt. How's that?
I will roll with that. Because, like, the thing with Colin, too, was once Colin saw the writing on the wall, he jumped ship. Nick stayed on the ship as the ship was sinking, which was just glorious. And I was following him on Twitter during Game 3 when the Cavs had that lead that Kevin Durant erased. And the span of time when that transpired is my favorite time on Twitter ever.
What was it, like 8 minutes for his career to die? Because I can only dream, honestly.
Yeah, it was roughly that long, and he basically was already going, here it is, LeBron's going to show you how this goes from here on out for the rest of the series. And then Kevin Durant did Kevin Durant things like we expected he might. And it was weird.
He literally said everything Kevin Durant did in that 8-minute span, or things he was on record as saying Kevin Durant does not do. Kevin Durant was an interior rim protector. He was a rebounder. He beat up on LeBron one-on-one. And then in the stretch of time that they needed it most, they got 5 of the best minutes of Kevin Durant basketball of all time with his entire life, Kevin Durant, okay, on both ends of the floor, shut the Cavs down for 3 minutes, let them scoreless, ran them off the floor 11-0 in the last 3 minutes. I just don't want to hear Nick Wright. Not next year at all. I don't want him to take 6 months, go into like recuperation, like the vampiric waste that he is, and then appear back. I can't do it. This is a very long segment on Nick Wright, but I'm just saying I'm hoping to add more dirt to this particular shambles of a funeral that we are currently having for him.
Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM here on Nooga Radio. We are breaking down the draft, and now that the draft is over, we've got some interesting free agency stuff to talk about. The Clippers. My brother is on the phone line. He'll be joining us in the next segment as well. Clutch with Keon Rose, NBA free agency. Next.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. now.
A car chase led Tennessee and Georgia cops all the way down the county lines from Marion County down to Dade County. It all started at 10 p.m. on Thursday when a car was spotted that was believed to belong to a man accused of kidnapping, Mr. Jimmy Morton. A chase began, and Mr. Morton is accused of calling 911 and telling the dispatcher he was armed and would kill the cops if they got to him, while they surrounded his vehicle and took him into custody without incident. He now faces charges in Marion County and Dade County. Amanda Davis, an inmate in the Ray County jail, was found dead in her jail cell, and the TBI has been called in to investigate. Miss Davis was arrested on the 17th and had her first court date on the 20th. A TBI was specifically called in by DA General Mike Taylor. The Hammond Jones hardware store in Lafayette went up in smoke overnight on Tuesday in an apparent arson, and now the Georgia Insurance and Fire Safety Commissioner Ralph Hudgens is offering a $10,000 reward for anyone with any info. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Scattered showers will move off to the east through your nighttime. Still quite muggy out there. Lows by morning near 70. For the weekend, look for improving weather with a shower or two possible early Saturday. Otherwise, drier late highs into the lower to middle 80s. More sunshine back into the lower 80s Sunday. Celebrate Independence Day with Big Shots Fireworks in Calhoun, Georgia. Exit 312 off I-75, 3 miles west toward Rome on Highway 53. Open daily, Big Shots Fireworks in Calhoun and now in Adairsville as well. And I'm S'mores Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Hey, Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over.
I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern. The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio. AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com, which, by the way, is where you get access to our social media. Our Facebook, our Twitter, and our YouTube channels are all linked on that page. We stream all of our local shows live, including this one, if you'd like to go back and hear this glorious basketball analysis again. And joining me on the phone line is my brother. He is a writer, a basketball aficionado, and the NBA draft was yesterday, and then we're jumping into the offseason of the NBA that, quite frankly, I did not imagine would be this action-packed so far. And the story broke while I was on the air, while we were talking, that Blake Griffin and Chris Paul have opted out of their contracts with the Los Angeles Clippers, and that put the Clippers in an odd spot. Kerwin, what do you think now of the Clippers?
I mean, the same thing we've thought about the Clippers for a while, which is that they really should have traded one or two of those pieces back when they had value, right? Back when Blake Griffin was balling out, but before he had punched a coach in the face, or back when Chris Paul could have played through an entire playoff series without getting tired and look like, basically look like an old man. It's hard. Chris Paul is a 6-foot point guard who's aging. Blake Griffin is an injury-prone power forward that a great deal of his game is based on his explosiveness. He has improved in sort of technique and skill, but still, the thing Blake Griffin for is jumping over a car. So let that be what it is. And what you have is you're going to have to pay Chris Paul if you don't want him to leave. That's $200 million over 5 years to eventually have a $36 million, a 36-year-old point guard, paying him $36 million a year, and him being 6 foot and useless. And then what you have in Blake Griffin is nothing. I think you get nothing from Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is going to go to a place where he does not strain with the staff and where he doesn't have to deal with Chris Paul, the most annoying point guard of the NBA. Maybe the second or third best right now, but the most annoying by a large margin. And that's kind of what you get right now. That's what the Clippers have. And this was for a franchise that thought they were going to just be on top of the Lakers for an extended period of time, maybe sort of sneak their way into relevancy. They're in a tough spot. They're like one of 8 teams in this Los Angeles sports market. I honestly don't know how to fix the Clippers other than you convince both guys to come back and then immediately trade everybody. Just get picks upon picks and young players and young shots, and just let that be your goal. You cannot, if you pay all of them, then you have no cap space and you're still not as good as the Warriors by a large margin. And if you pay 2 of them, you're not even a functionally good basketball team. They have no option, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is we were landing on that. I don't know. It's a long-winded way of saying they're bad.
I agree. I think you've got to blow it up now. Whether or not you can get back Paul and Griffin and try and trade them, even if you can't, you've got DeAndre. You've got to move him and get something for him.
Yeah, because he comes up in a year, I believe. His player option comes up in a year, which is crazy because wasn't this the weird summer thing where he was they were all at his house trying to convince him to come still play for them, felt like yesterday.
Yeah, it felt like not that long ago that he had a verbal agreement with the Dallas Mavericks, but not a written one. And then they all tracked down DeAndre Jordan and convinced him to come back. And now look where we are.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I think you have to trade DeAndre and you have to kind of wield the cap space. I don't think Doc, as he's on many occasions noted, that he is not in for rebuilds. So I guess, no more Doc Rivers. You fire him.
Thankfully.
And then all you have is Austin Rivers, who is not a terrible NBA player. I understand. I have not watched him significantly, but apparently he has grown in his ability to not be bad. And that's all I have to say on the Clippers. Clippers they're in a terrible spot.
The only good thing happening to and for the Clippers right now is they hired Jerry West, which that was to save them from Doc Rivers, which I think is several years too late. And I don't necessarily know.
They hired Jerry West as a consultant, a $5 million a year consultant.
Right. And
which should tell you exactly what Jerry West is really there for. But okay.
Correct. Like Jerry West is here to fix all of this. And so at least as your team starts to become a shambles, you have a guy that's got the ability to sort of right in the ship. Now, this actually does kind of transition into the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is that Chris Paul, if he were to leave LA, would be to go to San Antonio. Like that would be it, to be a Spur. And the Spurs would like to free up the cap space necessary to bring in Chris Paul, which means that they need to lose LaMarcus Aldridge. And they've been trying to move him. LaMarcus Aldridge, it's mutual, by the way. The feeling is mutual. LaMarcus Aldridge does not want to be there. How does this work?
How does this work? I feel like you have to find a trade partner who has an expiring contract. The issue with the Spurs is that no one really wants LaMarcus Aldridge. He's 31. If he doesn't have that jump shot to be money like it usually is, and it looks like something is going on. I mean, if I had to guess, I have no evidence of this. I've heard no reports. It's some kind of legacy, because his form is still the same form, but when you are shorting balls or when they're not coming out consistent, and the top half of you is working, that means the bottom half of you isn't doing the same thing, which means that's lift. That's now you just have like a slightly undersized power forward who doesn't jump and has an attitude in both the places that he left. In Portland and San Antonio, didn't get his way and is throwing a hissy fit. Who wants that? Who wants LaMarcus Aldridge is my question.
Right. No, nobody. Like I can't. I think of many places where when his game is working, like you said, it fits. But LaMarcus Aldridge wants to go to some place where he gets to be the guy. And the Portland Trailblazers were like, no, we like Dame being the guy. So we had they just let him go. And he went to San Antonio and he would have been the guy, except oops, Kawhi Leonard appeared. Kawhi's now the guy. I don't think LaMarcus likes that very much.
I can't understand it. San Antonio has one of the best cultures in the NBA. And to me, it's crazy that you would want out of that situation when you've got people in actual bad spots. You got people. Kristaps Porzingis is probably the best example. You could be in New York and you could have people leaking things to tabloid media about you and just generally treating you poorly. And the Spurs are treating you with almost nothing but dignity. They're just noted that you have flaws and that you do not play well inside of the concept or even trying to play the concept that they are trying to lay before you. And that makes you angry, trying to be good at basketball. It's just confusing. If you manage to not get LaMarcus Aldridge, you missed out on those sweepstakes, you're feeling pretty good right now. If you're Portland or the Lakers or I guess Phoenix, you're like, oh, okay, well, what do we need that for?
Yeah, that turned out better than expected. So if you are a team that you're looking for an extra piece, LaMarcus Aldridge would be one that you could trade for. DeAndre Jordan, I imagine, eventually would have to be another one that you could trade for because he would be a great piece. But who could actually acquire him? I think of my own basketball team, the Wizards. But I'm like, they're so cap logged that they can't do anything. But they're not the only team like that because, of course, last year we believed the cap was just going to go up, 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 and up. The cap has actually gone down this year, and now the Wizards and a bunch of teams who have signed really horrible contracts are stuck in them.
It's the Bismack Biyombo of it all. It's the Mozgov. It's the these contracts where we were all like, oh, the cap is gonna fly to 128 million. We're all gonna have space. It's gonna be a magical world. The money will just grow on trees. But no, it's the NBA. It's the normal NBA. The money does not grow on trees. You spend $30 million on somebody, then you've taken up 1/3 of your cap still. The cap just grew and allowed for larger contracts. It did not grow and like everybody still signed the same level of contract. No, people started signing like $60 million contracts, Bismack Biyombo, and it's an awful contract, and you're stuck in that for 4 years. Now, you know, you would like to like maybe trade for Melo, or LaMarcus Aldridge would be a great fit for you guys. Like, but I don't think is Gortat on his last year? It's the only way that I think this can happen. If Gortat's on his last year of his contract, and then maybe one other expiring and a pick, and then that's the Spurs clearly just dumping space for Chris Paul. We know what's going to happen. At that point, we very clearly understand what's about to happen. Chris Paul's going to San Antonio. But, I mean, honestly, I don't know.
Look, and actually, Gortat's not on the last year. He's on the second to last year. And the Wizards are trapped under the weight of the albatross of a bad Jan Mahinmi contract and a contract involving Andrew Nicholson, who can't even get onto the floor. So I could go on to that. Like that makes me mad. Like that will turn me into Stephen A. Smith. I could go down that road. I don't want to. You
guys are the fourth best team in the East. You're going to win 40 to 45 games, and you're going to lose John Wall.
And not capable. And by the way, if he leaves, I will applaud him. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. As long as Ernie Grunfeld is the general manager of this basketball team, a man who is only good at making last-second trades enough to keep his job. Because, to be clear...
They fired him.
They fired him? When?
Why did I think they fired him?
I did not see that. I follow the news on this one. Like, I have a Ernie Grunfeld Google alert, and while it offers me a lot of useless things that he says, it's pretty much installed only to find out if and when Ernie Grunfeld is fired.
It's just, to me, it's amazing. The Lakers basically had to give up D'Angelo Russell because Jim Buss and Nick Kupchak panicked and thought, we're not going to get anybody. And the Lakers is all about like show and splash. And so he signed two aging, basically in the modern NBA, useless players who cannot get on the basketball court. I like Luol Deng, human being. I think he's good for our young guys. I will never understand them. I was in the moment flabbergasted by the Mozgov signing, because later there was like 1,000 bigs you could get that could do what Timothy Mozgov and would not be as hurt and could have gotten them cheaper. It made no sense. And to like lock him in for 4 years instead of like sign him and then have a team option in the second year. It doesn't make sense now. Your Jan Mahinmi contract doesn't make sense. There's so many. The Dwight Howard in Atlanta doesn't make sense if you want to talk about a local team.
That was never a good fit. Like that's the thing that absolutely blows me away about the Dwight Howard signing is he was never a good fit for what this team was trying to build itself to be. And Coach Bud, who is not that different from Doc Rivers in as much as he is the coach with GM powers, I have no idea what he was thinking.
It's just, I think they were just like, we can't go for the tank. And maybe we can do like a spread out, pick and roll, fling the ball around, basically do what Dwight did in his youth in Orlando. But Dwight was just a different player. He was so dominant, such a physical specimen, 6'10", built like a wall, could jump out of the building, was just all he did is dunk and block shots, and he did it the very best in the league. And you threw him like a couple of bones on the pick and roll on a post up, and that was all that he needed. And he was just all about just that up and down, up and down, and up and down. And he took an average Orlando team and like raised it to new heights.
He took an average Orlando team and knocked off LeBron.
I don't know. I guess I don't understand it either. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, not to turn this into a Dwight Howard segment, but like he took an average NBA team involving, Rashard Lewis and Hedo Turkoglu and knocked LeBron out of the playoffs on their way to a 60-win season and an NBA Finals appearance. So it's not even just new heights. Like that was a great team because of him. But yeah, let's just jump on to things that are not going to make me upset, because everything involving that cap stuff makes me think of the Wizards, and that makes me mad. And then also in the short term nearsightedness of their construction of that basketball team, they also gave away all their picks. So they had no picks yesterday when I was watching the draft. I watched a team with no picks. So I was watching the draft for no reason, really. speaking of people
I mean,
who are around here for no reason.
Does that make you happy?
Does it make me happy? No, it makes me furious. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were going at Lonzo Ball on Twitter. Basically, Joel Embiid was basically saying, I'm going to dunk on him so hard that his dad comes to get him. And Ben Simmons was saying that LeVar's on crazy pills and all of this stuff. And it has come to my attention that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons have played a combined 31 games in the last 3 years, and Ben Simmons has the 0 in that combined 31. He's played no games. How is it possible that either of these guys are on Twitter saying anything?
I don't know, but I will say that my answer comes to you in two parts. One, I'm kind of in love with the Sixers team right now. They look so good on paper.
Me too. I'm in love.
I'm in basketball love, and it's romantic and it's real. Okay, but my second point. This leads to my second point. On the on paper portion of the conversation, which is, boy, do a lot of these guys just seem to just get injured like perpetually, and you cannot talk trash if you've only played 31 more games with a guy who got drafted yesterday. Okay, this Lakers hat is on now. You're not going to dunk on anybody. Lonzo is a guard, and he's a smart guard, which means if you were in the picture, he wasn't out of it. What are we talking about? What is the conversation that we are having? He will not guard either of those two behemoths. Why would we put him on him so that he can get posted up 4 or 5 times in a row? You're not dunking on him. You're not playing against him. You're just on the same floor. And I hope that he makes Embiid look bad. Okay, but quite frankly, I feel like both these guys need to be taken down just to a normal level of enthusiasm. We're all enthusiastic and happy that Philadelphia has players and that they are no longer the most irrelevant team for the 5th straight year in a row. But bring it down, okay? Walk on the court, not tear an ACL, and then we'll have a conversation.
And this might just be the one show where we just agree a lot, but I again agree with you. Also, an interesting thing to note about the Sixers are, as I have them ranked as the second most interesting team in the NBA next year in terms of, I don't have anything to do and I got the league pass. Who am I pulling up to watch? I am watching the Sixers immediately after the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves to me are the most fascinating team now. But the Sixers, you've got Embiid, you've got Simmons, you've got Fultz, you've got Saric. I mean, I like the team, man.
It's a good team. It's a good basketball team. All of these pieces are like modern NBA pieces. They've got shooting around Ben Simmons now. Like all of a sudden, what you have, Embiid could probably be like a decent shooter in 2 to 3 years. But what you have is a team that in like 3 years, assuming all of these guys break slightly above average on their curves, you have a super team. It didn't happen organically. It happened in the lab, but it'll look from afar like it happened organically, which is all that you want if you're a super team. This way people leave you alone and you don't get the Golden State. You chose to change jobs and it's like a legitimate thing that people do in life, but no, we're going to crucify you anyway. You get to avoid all of that and you get the glory.
Right. I mean, if of all of these guys reach their potential, and to me, I don't see how it is that Fultz can't. Honestly, he's just one of those guys to me. I maybe I've just been indoctrinated. I watch so much YouTube videos on him, but he's a slam dunk.
He just has great. He just looks good on a basketball court. He passes the eye test to the nth degree. I think he's good. I think he's good, and he's probably the second best player on the team if Embiid holds up. That got to make you happy, no?
A little bit, yeah. So,
you know what I think is the most interesting thing that we just skipped over with the whole Jimmy Butler trade? What's going to happen to Mirotic? They drafted a guy who is 7 foot and shoots threes and plays no defense. His role just got taken. There's no Jimmy Butler. If Dwayne Wade signs back on this team and Rajon Rondo comes back, it's the worst team in the NBA.
It very easily is.
$25 million to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade might just sign back out of spite. I honestly don't know what they're going to do.
No, first off, I don't think anything happens to Mirotic. We've seen Mirotic, and while he plays No defense whatsoever. Dude can legitimately play. Lauri Markkanen, though, pro comparison, is a 7-foot Channing Frye. And we've got 40 seconds left. But a 7-foot Channing Frye? Why would you need that?
Channing Frye's a glue guy, okay? He's well beloved by his teammates. Don't insult Channing Frye like that.
But you wouldn't draft Channing Frye with the 7th pick in the draft.
I don't think I would draft Channing Frye, but that's a personal opinion. I don't know why you draft Lauri Markkanen, I guess is what I'm saying.
It makes no sense. It absolutely boggles the mind. I wish that I had a way of describing it. But yeah, no, I don't think Nikola Mirotic's job is in any kind of particular trouble because
he may not want to come back. I think he's like a restricted free agent or free agent.
Oh,
so
is
that
he?
might be like that might just be too mutual disinterest on both parties, and maybe he leaves. So the Wizards can go get him if they can clear some room.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM here on Nooga Radio. Thanks for joining me today and making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. And I'll see you all next week.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike. Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484. Are you looking for a gospel-oriented, covenantal, family-friendly Reformed church? Dayton Reformed Presbyterian Church is a body of Christ-centered believers gathering for worship on the Lord's Day from around southeastern Tennessee. Our congregation is reformational in its outlook. It has a traditional worship service regulated by the Word of God. Prayer, singing the Psalms, reading God's holy word, teaching, preaching the Bible, The administration of the sacrament. Dayton Reformed Pres, committed to the authority of the Bible as the inerrant, infallible Word of God. As the Westminster Confession of Faith directs every Christian, we aim to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. As a Reformed church, our purpose is teaching and preaching the gospel, making and training disciples of Jesus Christ, taking dominion for our Lord's sake by applying God's holy and perfect law to every area of life. We would be honored to have you join us for worship. Dayton Reformed Presbyterian. This Sunday morning at 11 at Dayton Community Chapel, 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton. Click DaytonRPC.org. Click DaytonRPC.org. 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chops him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Here at Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR.